Good evening, everybody. My name's Bob Chasey. I'm speaking on Bolton FM, and I'm the musical director of the Bolton Symphony Orchestra. Tonight, you're going to hear some excerpts from a concert we did in conjunction with the Bolton Music Service for Bolton Hospice, and we did it in the Victoria Hall. It was a great occasion. There were a lot of people. It's always fun to do the Bolton Hospice things because it's for such a good cause. There's always such a great feel about them. And this is the first time we've done a Christmas concert, so it was very exciting for all of us. And the first piece we played was Leroy Anderson's Sleigh Ride. That was Leroy Anderson's Sleigh Ride. It's always a great opportunity in concerts like this to give the kids a chance to shine. And we're going to hear now the Bolton Junior Youth Choir singing Sing, Sing, for Christ is Born. And it gives me an opportunity to say a huge thank you to the director of Bolton Music Service, Carolyn Baxendale, for all her incredible hard work in getting this project off the ground. It's easy enough for us having these wonderful ideas, but actually to get them to happen takes an incredible amount of hard work.
They're fetching in ivy and holly and putting it this way and that. I simply can't think of the reason, said Cece, the Siamese cat. They're putting up lanterns and streamers. There's mistletoe over the door. They brought in a tree from the garden. I do wish I knew what it's for. It's covered with little glass candles that go on and off without stop. They put it to stand in a corner and tied up a fairy on top. They're stringing bright cards by the dozen and letting them hang in a row. Some people outside in the roadway are singing a song in the snow. I saw all the children write letters, and I'm not at all sure this was wise. They posted each one up the chimney. I couldn't believe my eyes. What on earth, in the middle of winter, does the family think it is at? Won't somebody please come and tell me? Said Cece, the Siamese cat. Meow.
And that was Delia Corrie reading They're Fetching in Ivy and Holly. Some of the older, if I can say older, less young listeners might remember Delia's voice, as she was the female voice on What the Papers Say all those years ago on the television. So that might have sparked her memory. I'm Bob Chasey, musical director of the Bolton Symphony Orchestra, and you're listening to us on 96.5 Bolton FM. The next item we're going to play is The Star Carol by John Rutter. John Rutter is really responsible for opening the door, I suppose you could say, to all the new Christmas carols that you've heard in the last 25, 30 years. He's written some absolutely fantastic carols, and Star Carol is one of the most popular.
Shining
That was the Star Carol by John Rutter, and it was sung by the massed choirs of Bolton Music Service, conducted by Carolyn Baxendale, who did a fantastic job teaching all the youngsters the choirs and songs for this concert. The concert's coming on 96.5 Bolton FM, and I'm Bob Chasey, musical director of the Bolton Symphony Orchestra. We've got a fantastic voice for you now. It's a voice that I think many people would recognise straight away, and it's the voice of Mr. Charles Foster. Charles was the link man, the news man, the anchor man for Granada Television for nearly 20 years. You couldn't escape him. As soon as you turned the television on, there was Charles. Fantastic pro and a lovely man. And he's going to read I Keep a Snowman in My Freezer.
I keep my snowman in the freezer, just behind the pies. He likes it there, he told me so. I can see it in his eyes. I made him on a cold morning when the snow was fresh and deep. Now he sleeps in the freezer, near the fish that we got cheap. I keep my snowman in the freezer and look at him each day. If I'd left him in the garden, he'd simply have melted away. But now he's like my grandma, living somewhere safe and nice. He's in a frosty, snowy palace on a throne of coldest ice. I keep my snowman in the freezer near a lump of frozen beef. And I've got a treat for him in August. I'm taking him to Tenerife.
So that was Charles Foster reading I Keep a Snowman in My Freezer. I'm Bob Chasey, musical director of Bolton Symphony Orchestra, and you're listening on 96.5 Bolton FM. Christmas always attracts certain famous pieces of music, obviously famous choirs, certain specific readings. One of the most famous pieces of music that always comes along at Christmas is Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, a fantastic ballet. In the middle of the Nutcracker is one of the most powerful pieces of music which I think he ever wrote. Incredibly simple. It's just based on a downward scale of G major. So people out there that practice instruments and are learning musical instruments will know that it's just the simplest thing. It's just a sequence of notes, nothing more. But here we see what one of the greatest composers that's ever lived can do with just the simple DNA, if you like, of a scale. So here we are with Tchaikovsky's The Pas de Deux from Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker. That was the Grand Pas de Deux from Tchaikovsky's ballet, The Nutcracker, and it was played by the Bolton Symphony Orchestra on 96.5 Bolton FM, and I'm their musical director, Bob Chasey, and I'm very, very glad to be in this fantastically warm studio because it's very, very, very cold outside. Unfortunately, I forgot my mince pies and sherry, but I suspect that all you good people listening to this have got plenty of that, and I do hope you're enjoying it, and we send lots of happy Christmases and happy New Years from the Bolton Symphony Orchestra. Next up is Charles Foster again reading a poem by Sir John Betjeman called Advent.
The bells of waiting Advent ring, the tortoise stove is lit again, and lamp oil light across the night has caught the streaks of winter rain in many a stained glass window sheen, from Crimson Lake to Hooker's Green. The holly in the windy hedge and round the manor house the yew will soon be stripped to deck the ledge, the altar, font and arch and pew, so that the villagers can say, the church looks nice on Christmas Day. Provincial public houses blaze and corporation tramcars clang. On lighted tenements I gaze where paper decorations hang. And bunting in the red town hall says, Merry Christmas to you all. And London shops on Christmas Eve are strung with silver bells and flowers, as hurrying clerks the city leave to pigeon-haunted classic towers. And marbled clouds go scudding by the many-steepled London sky. And girls in slacks remember Dad, and oafish louts remember Mum. And sleepless children's hearts are glad, and Christmas morning bells say, Come, even to shining ones who dwell safe in the Dorchester Hotel. And is it true? And is it true? This most tremendous tale of all. Seen in a stained glass window's hue, a baby in an ox's stall. The maker of the stars and sea become a child on earth for me. And is it true? For if it is, no loving fingers tying strings around those tissued fripperies, the sweet and silly Christmas things, bath salts and inexpensive scent, and hideous tie so kindly meant. No love that in a family dwells, no caroling in frosty air, nor all the steeple-shaking bells can with this single truth compare, that God was man in Palestine and lives today in bread and wine.
That was Charles Foster reading Advent by John Betjeman. I remember somebody once saying that there were certain voices on the radio that could actually read a telephone directory and it would hold the attention of thousands of people. And I think Charles has got one of those voices. Absolutely lovely, lovely, lovely man. And going from one lovely man to another, it's a source of great pride to the Bolton Symphony Orchestra and indeed myself that Ivor Hodgson, composer, has agreed to be our composer in residence for the next 5 years, which means he's going to write us oodles of exciting music, which we're incredibly looking forward to. We played 2 pieces of his at this Christmas concert. The first one was a beautiful arrangement of chestnuts roasting by an open fire. Although I got a feeling it should be chestnuts roasting on an open fire, because if you put the chestnuts by the fire, I don't think there'd be enough heat to actually do anything. But maybe that's something we can all think about. That's the first piece, which is a beautiful arrangement for solo flute and strings with our principal flute, Julie. And then it's followed by a wonderful little piece of invention called Christmas Express. The idea being that it's a little train running round, and instead of going from station to station and picking up people, it picks up Christmas carols. So there are lots of little Christmas carols to listen for, and that's played by our principal clarinet, Lynn Threadgold. That was Christmas Express by Ivor Hodgson. And it was brought to you on 96.5 Bolton FM. It was played by the Bolton Symphony Orchestra, and I'm their musical director, Bob Chasey. Next, Delia Corrie is going to read The Annual Ritual by Miss Reed.
From A Village Life in the 1920s by Miss Reed. The Annual Ritual of the Waters Sisters. Miss Margaret Waters and her sister Mary were quietly at work in their cottage in the village street. They sat one each side of the big round table, penning their Christmas cards in meticulous copperplate. Music tinkled from the large old-fashioned wireless set, vying with the bells outside. Mary's grey curls began to nod in time to a waltz, and putting her pen between her teeth, she rose to increase the volume of the music. At that moment, an excruciating clashing of St. Patrick's peal informed the world of Fairacre that at least 3 of the bell ringers were hopelessly awry in their order. "Turn it off, Mary, do. Them dratted bells drowns anything else. We may as well save the electric," exclaimed Margaret. Mary obeyed, as she always did, and returned to her seat. It would have been nice to hear the Merry Widow, but it was not worth upsetting Margaret, especially with Christmas so near. She picked up a card from a pile and surveyed it with affection. "All right for Uncle Toby?" she queried. "He's partial to a robin." Her sister studied the card earnestly. Sending the right card was something the sisters considered with the utmost care. "You don't feel it's a mite spangly? That glitter on the icicles doesn't look exactly manly to me. I'd say the coach and horses myself." Mary set aside the robins reluctantly and inscribed the card with the coach and horses. "From your affectionate nieces, Margaret and Mary." The mahogany clock ticked steadily as it had done throughout their parents' married life and their single ones. A log hissed on the fire and the kettle on the trivet began to hum. At bedtime, it would be boiling for their hot water bottles. It was very peaceful and warm in the cottage. It was the time of day Mary loved the best, when the work was done and the curtains drawn. "That seems to be the lot," she observed, putting the envelopes in a neat stack. Margaret added her last one. 3, including the rejected robin, remained unused. "Oh, there's bound to be someone we've forgotten," said Margaret. "Put them all on the dresser and we'll get them posted tomorrow. And now for bed."
That was Delia Corrie reading Annual Ritual by Miss Reed. I suppose if you took a poll of what's the most famous music that you hear at Christmas, I'm sure the Nutcracker, which you heard a little bit of a bit before, would come very high up the tree. Probably at the top would be Irving Berlin's White Christmas, and the Bolton Symphony Orchestra and the Bolton Music Service Choir are going to sing a beautiful arrangement of that for you now. And I suppose that's at the best possible time to wish everybody out there a very, very happy Christmas. It's not long to go now, 2 hours, I think. And we do hope that you have a wonderful time and that next year brings you all the things that you could possibly wish for. That was White Christmas by Irving Berlin, probably the best known Christmas tune of all, I would think. Having said that, of course, then the great Christmas carols, they must take their place at the top of the list as well. And maybe the best known, you can't really say that, can you? But certainly one of my favourites, and I know it's one of John's favourites here, is The First Noel. And this is the combined forces of all of the Bolton Music Centre choirs and the Bolton Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Carolyn Baxendale. That was the glorious sound of the first Noel performed by the massed choirs of the Bolton Music Service and the Bolton Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Carolyn Baxendale. I'm the music director of the Bolton Symphony Orchestra. My name's Bob Chasey, and I'm talking on 96.5 Bolton FM. And now we're going to hear Delia Corrie and Charles Foster reading A Christmas List.
I have a list of folks I know, all written in a book. And every year when Christmas comes, I go and take a look. And that is when I realize that these names are a part, not of the book they're written in, but written in my heart.
For each name stands for someone who's crossed my path sometime. And in that meeting, they've become the rhythm in each rhyme. And while it sounds fantastic for me to make this claim, I really feel that I'm composed of each remembered name.
And while you may not be aware of any special link, just meeting you has changed my life a lot more than you think. And once I've met somebody, the years cannot erase the memory of a pleasant word or of a friendly face.
So never think my Christmas list cards are just a mere routine of names upon a Christmas list forgotten in between. For when I send a Christmas card that is addressed to you, it's because you are on a list of folks I'm indebted to.
For I am but the total of the many folks I've met, and you happen to be one of those I prefer not to forget. And whether I have known you for many years or few, in some way you've had a part in shaping things I do.
And every year when Christmas comes, I realize anew the best gift life can offer is meeting folks like you. And may the spirit of Christmas that forever endures leave its richest blessings in the hearts of you and yours.
That was Delia Corrie and Charles Foster and A Christmas List. We say a huge thank you for the two of them for giving up their time for this Bolton Hospice concert. Two fantastic voices and two really great people to work with. We started off the concert with Leroy Anderson's Sleigh Ride. Leroy Anderson wrote so many very famous pieces of what you might call light music. Bugler's Holiday, The Typewriter, one of my favourites. And we're going to end this concert, coming to you on 96.5 Bolton FM, with Leroy Anderson's A Christmas Festival. It's been marvellous to bring this concert to you. Thank you for listening. And I'd just like to say a very big thank you to Carolyn Baxendale for all her work with the Bolton Music Service Choir. They really were tremendous. And again, thanks to Delia and Charles.